We begin tonight with proposed provisions for a federal constitution. Under the draft charter to be submitted to President Duterte, terms for the country's two top elected officials will be shortened from 6 years to 4, but the president and vice president can vie for re-election. What does that mean for President Duterte and Vice President Robredo beyond 2022? News 5's Patricia Mangune has the story.
The draft federal charter has been released, and one major provision in the draft constitution requires candidates for the presidential and vice presidential position to run as a tandem. While their terms have been cut to just 4 years, they will be given a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. Incumbent officials are also allowed to run for a national position under the new federal system, and this includes President Rodrigo Duterte or Vice President Leni Robredo.
There's no ban. So they can run under a new constitution. Kasi parang reboot yan eh. It's a reset. No. Again, nandito pa lang tayo sa first part of the constitution. That's the last part, the transitory provision. And we have made it very clear there will be no term extension for the president and vice president.
The CONCOM also held public consultations with the Armed Forces of the Philippines to discuss a provision involving the mandate of the military. The AFP, however, voiced its disapproval of the requirement to secure a surveillance warrant and serve it after said surveillance of a high-value target. They fear it can clip their wings at completing an operation.
The Constitution is very absolute. Dapat yung specific tactical operations should not be mentioned on the Constitution. Considering that it may limit yung flexibility namin to really do our mandate.
But the CONCOM explained there have been cases where surveillance violated privacy rights of persons in the past.
Attorney Levarius was one of the main exponents in that group, had to cite so many cases and why these provisions had to be included in the Constitution. There were some human rights implications here.
Other provisions which involve the AFP is one that permits weapons of mass destruction to be kept in the country in line with national interest.
In the future, 30, 40 years from now, there may be a need for us to obtain, to hold, and retain such weapons for the national interest of the Philippines. With the phrase national interest, we see to it na by later on, modern times, we'll say na we need to have.
So it depends.
Yeah, it depends in the future, because we do not tie up the Constitution of prohibiting absolutely these kinds of weapons.
Revised also were provisions that stated ranks from 2-star generals and above only will be put under the scrutiny of the Commission on Appointments instead from the current colonels, as well as an additional basis for declaring martial law, which is lawless violence pertaining to terrorism and extremism, aside from invasion and rebellion. The AFP says they will need to study first the draft and its implications. However, they will have to wait for a copy to be released until July 9 after the CONCOM has submitted the draft to the President. For News 5, Patricia Mangune, we are One News.